Have you ever prayed, pleaded, and heard nothing, not even a whisper? You're not imagining it. Millions of believers cry out to God in their darkest hours, yet feel silence in response. If God promises to strengthen and uphold us, why does it sometimes feel like He's nowhere to be found? Today, we're diving deep into this question. You'll meet two people living in modern reality, struggling, broken, and searching for answers. By the end of this video, you'll see that God's silence is not abandonment, and that even in darkness, His hand is holding you. Meet Ava, mid-20s, young professional, full of energy once, now weighed down by grief. Her younger sibling died unexpectedly, and she's been carrying the weight ever since, caring for grieving parents, trying to keep her job afloat, nights full of tears, heart aching, and prayers that feel unheard. Ava feels abandoned. The loneliness is crushing. Every prayer seems to echo back emptily, and yet she continues. She opens her Bible, struggling to read. Isaiah 41:10 flashes before her eyes. I will strengthen you and help you. She whispers the words again and again, even when she feels nothing. Slowly, over weeks, subtle moments begin to change her. A call from a friend, a kind word at work, a small act of grace from a stranger. Each one reminds her that God is working, even when His presence is not obvious. Her sorrow is not instantly gone, but Ava begins to feel hope again. Faith is rebuilt in silence, in the spaces between heartbreak and healing. Then there's Jordan, a mid-20s creative with a passion for music. His talent is undeniable, but the world hasn't cooperated. Record labels reject him, gigs fall through, and financial instability is constant. Every door slammed leaves him questioning God's guidance. Jordan cries out to God, asking why his dreams feel so unreachable. Silence, no breakthrough, no instant answer. He wonders if God even hears him yet. Even here, there is a subtle grace. Mentors reach out, friends offer guidance, moments of inspiration spark new ideas. Slowly, Jordan learns that God's response doesn't always come in the form we expect. Sometimes it comes as perseverance, wisdom, or resilience. He starts to understand that faith doesn't mean instant success, it means walking forward even when God seems silent. Now I want to ask you something. Have you ever cried out to God and felt nothing? What did that feel like for you? Drop your story in the comments right now. I promise, your words could be the lifeline someone else needs today. Let's create a space where real struggles meet real hope. So why do believers like Ava and Jordan sometimes feel abandoned, even when God promises to strengthen and uphold us? The answer is both theological and psychological. Jesus on the cross cried out, my God, why have you forsaken me?" Matt 27:46. In the Psalms, David repeatedly asks, why are you so far from helping me? Psalm 88 bonding and plus. Even the faithful experience what theologian Sinclair Ferguson calls a cloud between God and our consciousness. God is present, but our awareness may be blocked by grief, doubt, or trauma. The Bible normalizes lament, doesn't shame us for crying out in the dark. It shows that expressing pain is a valid part of faith. Beyond theology, real-life psychology helps explain the felt absence. Grief, depression, and trauma literally rewire our minds, making us feel isolated. Christian counselors note that those in deep despair feel abandoned by God and by those they looked to for the love they craved. Suicidal despair often stems from a sense that everything has been lost, including God's presence. Similarly, depression can magnify doubt. As one Christian writer confessed, I am a Christian, but depression tempted me to distrust God. I was desperately seeking deliverance He seemed to withhold from me. In those moments, voices of doubt scream louder than God's still, small voice. These are normal human responses when suffering feels endless. Neuroscience shows that grief and depression distort our perceptions. We may think God is far when we simply can feel Him. Just because we feel this way doesn't mean our perception of reality is correct. The Almighty does not abandon us because our mind tells us He has. Rather, our pain is influencing our emotions. Trusted voices encourage believers to be honest with God about these struggles instead of hiding them. Theologically, many have written about God's hiddenness. In the dark night of the soul, saints like St. John of the Cross taught that God sometimes withdraws His felt presence to purify faith. R.C. Sproul calls it a crisis of faith that even the greatest Christians suffer. He notes that faith vacillates between episodes of doubt, yet these dark seasons are temporary. 2 Cor 4:8-9. Godfrey, via Sproul, reminds us that Scripture always limits such despair. Persecuted but not forsaken, struck down but not destroyed. Believers may be afflicted and perplexed, but God never finally deserts them. Pastor Jonathan Schruck points to Daniel 10, where Daniel's answer to prayer was delayed by spiritual battle. Similarly, our unanswered cries may have unseen reasons, even spiritual warfare, not necessarily God's displeasure. Schrock cautions against Western fix-it mindsets. We can't make God obey our timetable. God is not a God to be figured out. We can't get God to do what we want when we want it. This doesn't leave us hopeless. Rather, it teaches that God is a person with wisdom beyond ours. Silence isn't proof of sin or failure. It can be a stage in faith's journey. Countless believers testify that God meets them in the silence. Andrew Brunson, imprisoned for his faith, confessed that his crisis was not persecution but the feeling of abandonment. He had expected strength to pour into him, but when this didn't happen, he became suicidal. Yet he also learned that faith can survive unanswered prayers. A pastor friend of his shared after weeks of crying out. He finally became silent, and God spoke to his soul. Similarly, Christine Chappell describes a 5-week battle with despair. She felt abandoned by God and was in a dark tunnel. In that darkness she ultimately found comfort in Scripture. When I am afraid, I will trust in you. Psalm 53. With prayer, community support, and time, she emerged into hope. These real-life accounts show that God does respond, sometimes quietly, sometimes through others, even when we feel utterly alone. So, what does this mean for you? Feeling abandoned doesn't mean God has left you. Silence doesn't equal absence. He is quietly sustaining you, shaping your faith, and working even when you cannot see it. Like Ava and Jordan, your darkest seasons can become spaces where trust grows, resilience forms, and hope blooms. We should hold fast to His promises. God will never leave you nor forsake you. Hebrews 13:5. Even if your senses say otherwise, we should embrace lament. It's okay to cry out. The Bible encourages honest prayer. Psalm 13. 1-2. Pour out your questions before God, as others have done. He can handle our doubts. Continue spiritual disciplines. Even when faith is weak, God hears the prayers of a reaching heart. Seek support. Talk with compassionate believers or counselors. Remember the cross. Christ Himself endured God's hiding to save us. When you feel forsaken, recall that Jesus walked this way. To Matt 27-46, and now intercedes for you. Romans 8:34. But here's the question I want to leave you with. If God can be silent and still faithful, how do we recognize His guidance when we can't hear Him, when answers aren't obvious? In the next video we're going to explore exactly that. We'll uncover practical ways to sense God's direction, even in the quietest moments. Trust me, you won't want to miss it.